Hello Underdogger, it's your boy Underdog Recapped. Before we start, warning, spoilers ahead. Today I'm going to recap a 2021 American action and adventure movie, called The Vault. This movie is about a genius nerd who would rather be a vault breaker than an office worker with a $400,000 salary. It won't be as easy as doing his paper. There is no blueprint or secret entrance into the safe. No one can break into this safest vault for years. Will his geniuses help him to be the first one who can break into the vault? Let's find out together, doggy-styled. The film begins with searching for an old shipwreck that sank in the Atlantic Ocean for quite a long time. Unlike its rusty exterior, this shipwreck turns out to be a treasure trove. James, who was in charge of taking the ship's loot, took the risk to go deeper into the weathered part of the ship. Walter, his boss, strongly discouraged James' rash actions. But his effort was not in vain. He managed to find a box they had been looking for a long time. The whole ship is happy with what they have found. So does James, who welcomes him with his favorite alcohol. However, the festivities have to stop because their actions are caught by the Spanish customs. As the leader, Walter is forced to attend a trial held by the Spanish kingdom. Because they have been searching in the Spanish Royal Maritime Territory, all of their loot is now confiscated by the Spanish kingdom. Specifically, his loot is now stored in the safest vault in the world, belonging to a bank in Madrid. Walter doesn't look like he wants to give up the fruits of his hard work. Now he has to rack his brain again to find a solution to this problem. On the other hand, the story shifted slightly towards Tom. Someone who will have a big hand for Walter in his quest. Don't be fooled by his innocent appearance. Tom is a genius student who studied at the University of Cambridge. His idea that manages to solve a long crisis in mining makes him in demand by many multinational companies. They are even willing to pay Tom $400,000 just to recruit Tom. It is big money a 22-year-old boy can get. But unfortunately, that has not been enough to make Tom side with one of these big companies. This made his father even more confused. He thinks that Tom is too idealistic and tells him to accept one of the offers immediately. In the middle of his conversation with his father, he receives a message from someone he doesn't know. It's weird to see Tom being more interested in anonymous messages than a $400,000 salary offer. Well, but that's what finally brings Tom to Walter. Walter does not really like to chit-chat. He immediately offers him a job. Walter intends to enlist the help of the genius Tom to find a safe way to break into the safest vault in Madrid. Although he is already confused by his meeting with Walter, Walter's offer is quite exciting for Tom. He decides to leave his studies and join Walter in Madrid. Tom is greeted by Lorraine, a beautiful woman who has been treated like Walter's own child. Although the whole city is enjoying the World Cup euphoria, Walter and his crew are still busy with their plan. Tom comes to Walter's hideout not far from the hustle and bustle of the city. Unexpectedly, it turns out that other people work under Walter. His innocent looks make him doubted by the other crew members. But that all changed when Tom managed to provide a solution for Walter's mainstay hacker to gain access to Madrid Bank's CCTV. This immediately increases Walter's trust in Tom. He also told the reason why he insisted on breaking into the safe. The loot confiscated in the safe turns out to be not just any treasure. The treasure that Walter finds holds the treasure coordinates written on 3 coins. It belongs to Sir Francis Drake, who previously refused to share his loot with the British Empire. Fortunately, this information is still unknown to the Spanish kingdom and makes Walter still able to get it back. They immediately prepare to carry out the first plan to copy the safe keys form and see the shape of the safe. However, their plan is now starting to run into problems because James' face is already known by the bank, and he can't come with Lorraine to carry out their plan. Luckily, Tom felt willing to replace James. He feels confident that he can complete this simple mission. This makes James unhappy because his task has to be done by the new kid. But finally, he lets Tom take his place because he doesn't have another choice. The day has come. Everyone is in their position. Everything goes well until Tom accidentally triggers the bank's security alarm. The entire area of the bank is now filled with soldiers. Lorraine, who had no time to return the last key to its original place, had to hide it in her bag. It would be a terrible mistake if she just left the key. But fortunately, Tom manages to take over Lorraine's duties and return the last key to its original place. Although they have sparked a commotion, their efforts are not in vain. Now they have a copy of the safe key shape and information about the vault form. However, breaking into the safe is not as easy as they imagine. The safe has a security system that uses a weighting system. If something enters the safe and changes the weight of the safe, instantly, all exits of the safe will be closed and filled with water. Things only get worse after they find out that it takes 15 days to create an escape route under the vault. They can't wait that long because the banks lack security due to the World Cup event will be tightened again after the event is over. Now, Walter's effort seems to be in vain. He no longer has the spirit to carry out this plan. But amid his frustration, he finds a new crazy plan that is worth trying. If Spain makes it to the World Cup final, all CCTV will point towards the World Cup fans, and then they will have the opportunity to enter the bank from the top. But now they can only hope that Spain really enters the World Cup final. The day of judgment has arrived. Their wait has now paid off after the goddess of fortune approved their plan. Spain, who qualified for the World Cup final, became a signal for them to carry out their actions. There is not much time left until the day of the World Cup final, but Tom still has not figured out how to break into the vault safely. Lorraine invites him to unwind at a bar during his confusion to solve this problem. They talk at length about their past. Now they are getting closer, just like many couples. Thanks to Lorraine's invitation, Tom has now found a solution to enter the bank without affecting the weight of the safe. He suggests freezing the scales under the bank using nitrogen to manipulate the weights in the vault. Even though it sounds crazy, this plan is worth a try. The day has come. There is no turning back for all of them. Their plan must succeed, or they will end up in prison. Tom, Lorraine, and James are tasked to enter the bank through the roof as they're planned initially, while their other teammates attempt to freeze the scales under the safe. A few weeks ago, Tom was just a genius student with no criminal history. But today, everything will change. His nervousness is written on his face, but he feels the desire to complete this crazy mission. Like most beginners, Tom slows down their movement. However, they still manage to enter the bank and safely make their way to the vault. A finger scan belonging to the head of security and a replica of the safe key manages to make the safe open. Even though they are glued to the whole safe, they can't enter the safe yet because the floor is still not completely frozen. Their teammate is still trying hard to freeze the bottom of the safe with nitrogen. After several nitrogen canisters are used up, the results are still nowhere to be seen. James is getting more doubtful of him. However, their wait is finally answered, with the vault's floor slowly starting to freeze. Their journey is getting closer to the end. The treasure they dream of is now clearly visible in front of their eyes. But they don't have much time. They have to quickly find Sir Francis Drake's treasure coordinates before the scales melt and turn on the bank's security alarm. Luckily, they manage to find the box in time. Even though they seem to have what they are looking for, there is one thing that surprises them. James betrays them and threatens Lorraine with a gun to give him the box immediately. Although Lorraine hands the box over to James, their clash prevents the scales from freezing and triggers the safe's security system. All accesses out of the vault are all closed. The place began to fill with water. Even though they don't seem to have a chance to come out, James manages to escape by swimming through a channel that drains water to the safe. Now Lorraine and Tom's journey is getting closer to death. However, luckily, the genius Tom manages to find a solution to stop the flow of water entering the safe. He asks one of his colleagues to burden the scales with all the objects there. Tom's genius manages to save them from death. The water that fills the safe now starts to empty the safe and makes them manage to get out of the safe. The head of security, who was ready to arrest them, was surprised to find the safe, which was now empty. However, his experience as head of security makes it easy to find Tom and Lorraine traces who managed to escape. He ordered all his men to immediately catch those who hadn't fled too far. But luckily, today is their lucky day. The crowd celebrating Spain's victory in the World Cup makes the soldiers lose their trace. Their efforts seem in vain because of their loss of the coordinates. But, it looks like the story doesn't end the way James wanted to. The clever Walter has told Lorraine to exchange the coins for fake coins that have been prepared by Walter. His journey is getting closer to the end to get his dreams and all of the glory entirely in the hands of Walter and his teammates. That's how the movie ends. Tom's genius teaches us that even the tricky mazes always have an exit. It won't be impossible while there are people who want to try. What do you think of Tom's genius in solving various problems? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching, and as always, see you next time.